What up, though? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! There's a real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
What up, no? It is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. And speaking of knockouts, I mean, our guest tonight's got plenty to talk about when it comes to knockouts. Fresh off his big dub at BKFC UK against Connor Tierney, we have Gypsy Jake Lindsey. How the hell you doing, brother man?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. I'm chilling. Got a big piece of pizza in my hand. And we chilling, baby. We doing good.
That's the best part of when the fight's over. You can eat whatever the hell you want again, dude. I mean, how the hell was it going over there to UK, man? You're getting to fight Bare Knuckle where it was originated at. I mean, how was that, the experience going to the UK? Did you enjoy going over there? Did it fuck up your weight cut? Tell me about the experience.
I flew out about a week and a half early because the time zone difference. So there was this, everyone was saying, hey, man, you got to get out there early. You got to adjust to the jet lag. You have to do all these things. And I read up online, it said 1 day per time zone difference. So I went out about a week and a half early. Honestly, after the first night, I was completely fine. So probably overkill, but I wasn't willing to, risk anything fucking up, the fight. So it was fantastic, man. London's a great city. Like you were saying, it's a big fight city. You were literally walking through the town and you see these gigantic buildings that are 300 years old. And you can just imagine, when, the knights and stuff would walk through the streets. So it was great. It was a great experience, man. And like I said, I thought I'd be booed a lot more. I did get booed, and people were clearly going for Connor, but those guys are all cool, man. It's all nothing but respect over there.
They got a big respect for just fight culture in general. I was supposed to go over there and compete with the U.S. Paralympic team and all that for jiu-jitsu and things, but it didn't end up happening. But England is definitely somewhere before I die. I have to check out at some point. And I mean, like I said, I'm just saying, at some point, England somewhere, I gotta go before I die.
You gotta get dramatic about it.
I mean, hey, you know what it is? What up, though, Donald? With that being said, dude, tell me about the fight. I mean, it's a hell of a fight for you to have, especially in England, against a guy like Connor Tierney, because, he was a guy that's definitely had a lot of hype behind him as far as BKFC goes and things like that. So tell me what your thoughts were about that matchup. Was it a fight that you were, real adamant you wanted? Or how'd you feel about that one? Because it's always quite the thing when you have a fight like that where it's somebody who that they've got a little bit of steam behind and you're doing it over there in his home country. What were your thoughts about that?
I've been scouting Connor for a long time. The second they signed him, I looked him up, watched his fights. I actually tried to fight him before. Here's some food for thought. There's not a single guy in the top 5 in my division. Caleb Harris, Joe Elmore. I've literally personally messaged every one of them and said, hey, when do you want to fight? Are you free to fight? Can we fight? And I've been all over ever since my first BKFC fight. I've been trying to get a top ranked guy, like someone who had some steam behind them. So when they offered me Connor, the answer was yes. I don't care if it's in London. I don't give a shit where it's at. Yes, send the contract. And for me, I've been fighting for a long time. I'm a veteran of the sport, so it doesn't like the location doesn't bother me. To be honest with me, when I'm in there, the crowd doesn't even fucking exist. I'm in my own world, so going into enemy territory is always something you have to think about the psychological parts of it. But like I said, I've been in the sport so long. I've done the roller coaster of up and down, so it didn't faze me whatsoever.
A lot of guys
Well,
like
you
that
talk-
role, though.
go ahead.
You know what I mean? They like to be the villain and be the guy that tears down the hometown guys. You know what I mean? Like some guys thrive off that.
I definitely I kind of do a lot of visualization. I'm kind of a weirdo anyway, so of course there's that aspect of conquering in it, right? You're going to a foreign land, it's almost like you're going to war. And I have no problem. That it kind of brings a bit more out of me. The same on the other way around. I've had guys come to my hometown. I'm like, okay, well, it's nothing different than I'm going to treat this the same as if I'm defending my village. Like you're not coming to my area and taking my shit, So of course there's that aspect of it. My coach between the 4th and the 5th round, I was like, save everything that you want to say to me to hype me up for the 4th and the 5th. And this is fucking king shit. You're a king. You're a conqueror. Ah, and he got it. And I was like, okay, let's go. So, yeah, I mean, I think it makes it more impressive too. That's what kind of got me excited about it because it ups your stock more when you go to someone's backyard, into enemy territory and you perform like that under all the mental pressures and stresses. Luckily for me, like I said, I'm kind of a weirdo. I live in my own world. I'm kind of eccentric. So shit like that doesn't affect me as much as it would other people. I literally don't care. You can put me in any room, in any scenario, and I don't get nervous. It's just, I'm not a psychopath, just so you know, but I just don't get nervous about those kind of things. So,
well, with that much experience, I can imagine that being the case, right?
Yeah.
You talk about it yourself, and just looking back to do my little bit of research, I mean, yeah, you've literally been all over the place and done it all for the most part. So when I was looking for a way to word that question that like these guys just asked you what it was like to kind of go over there and conquer and take over enemy lands and such, like I'm sure you've dealt that road before, but with the whole bare knuckle aspect and stuff, there's another layer of violence.
There is another layer of violence, yeah.
And then on top of that, to end it the way you did with the clean right hand at the end of the 5th, or not at the end, but at the midway point essentially of the 5th round, man, that it was just it was as clean as it can get, and to not take it out of the judge's hands, and it was just an amazing moment, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure, man. I would have, going in that 5th round, honestly, I thought it was like the 4th round, probably because he dropped me the 3rd round. The shot he hit me with, that's a clean fucking shot. That's about as clean a shot as you're gonna get. And I was there, but I thought we were going into the 4th round in that 5th round. So, but I was setting up. I kind of was hesitant with that combo. That was a combo I knew was going to work on him. I have not to toot my own horn, but just because I've watched so much combat sports, I have a high fight IQ. And the second I watch Connor's fight, I'll make a mental note. This is before I knew we were going to fight. I was like, that guy's open for a fake jab to the body overhand right. Because he reacts to it. He tries to pull back and leaves his chin floating. And it landed just exactly like I thought it would. But that was a very good end to a climactic fight. It was a very emotionally up and down. Some fights are boring, even if they're throwing bombs, there's no drama to it. That was a very there's a lot of storyline in that fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yep. You guys both knocking each other down, it really lends to a story. And then with you being able to get the knockdown in the 5th, did you think he was going to get up in that moment, though, when you seen him go down? Did you think he was getting up, or did you think that was the fight right there?
I thought he would get up. I thought he would make the count, but shortly after, I thought I would finish him. I knew he did a really good job of so when he fell down, you can see how he stumbled back. He's actually almost sat to his butt, and then his legs gave out. But that's a sign of your nerves shutting down in your legs temporarily. And your body does that when you go through extreme trauma to try to save yourself from breaking your legs. So I saw him fall. I walked right off and turned around and looked at him, and he stumbled back like he was going to sit to his butt. Then his legs gave out. I was like, okay, I got to fucking hurt. So I knew I hit him either in the orbital, right below his eye, or in his temple. And you want the temple shot. And I knew he'd get up because Connor, people like to say he's a pretty boy and this and that. Connor's a tough guy, man, and there's no quit. He's a dog, and you can be a charismatic pretty boy and still be a bad motherfucker. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, the guy was 7-1. Like, you don't win 7 bare knuckle fights knocking people out if you can't take a shot and get in there and fight yourself.
You don't fight 8 bare knuckle fights if you're just a pretty.
You don't do any bare knuckle fights if you're fucking not tough.
I can't believe Luke Rockhold's in there, but I'll ask you about that in a minute.
Yeah, but anyway, and I sorry to give you a long-winded answer. I saw him get up, and I thought the ref was going to let him go, but then he called it. Now, looking back and watching, I can see why Connor's mad. Everyone's throwing a fucking fit about it. Like, well, I can see why he's mad. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, let us blow the fucking roof off of that venue. But like I said, watching back, the ref asked him some questions, and Connor wasn't answering, and he was not looking at the ref. He was kind of looking around. So I can see the ref side too. If I was the ref personally, I would have said, fuck it, you guys can bang it out. But everyone says that, and everyone gets mad when they stop it, and until a guy gets really hurt. So, I didn't know if it was going to be over or not, but I'm happy that it was, I guess.
I couldn't blame you. Well, that brings up the next question, off of your post-fight interview and all that stuff, you said you would be down with to run it back with him. What do you want to see next in there? Do you want to see an immediate rematch with Tierney, or do you think the title?
No, I'm fighting for the title. I already got confirmation. I'm fighting for the title versus Gogo.
There it is.
How do you feel about
versus
that?
Gogo,
How
baby?
do you feel you guys match up?
He's different. I don't want to sound disrespectful because you have to respect everyone, and I think it's easy for me. It's an easier fight than me. I think Connor was the hardest fight for me in the division based off because he moves like I do. Like, we kept canceling each other out. Like, normally I can move around, I can kind of slide, get out of the way. You can't do that with Connor. Gogo's he's a more straightforward type fighter. He puts his head down. He throws big ass bombs. The thing with Gogo you have to get past is the tenacity and the sheer physicality of it, right? So he's a harder fight in that regard. I think honestly I weigh him down and TKO him late in the 4th or 5th. But I'm excited for it. He's tough. People respect him. That's what I want. That's why I said I wanted to fight Connor. I want to fight big. I want to slay some fucking dragons, right? Put some dragons in front of me. Let me slay them. I'm sad it's not Palomino, but I figured, like I said, like the entire lead up to this Connor fight, people were like, what are you going to think? You think you're fighting Palomino? Like, doubt it, unless they're paying him a bunch of money. So I think he priced him. I don't think he said no, but he asked for way too much money. That's a way to say, hey, I just don't really feel like doing it unless you pay me a ton. And he's earned that right, man. He's a veteran. He was fighting for years and years and years and got no love. He's been doing it for, just like me, like 20, 25 years, got no love, and then he fought Justin Gaethje and got some love. So, more power to him. If he doesn't want to do it, fine. If he wants to come back and run it, let's get it done.
So does that mean this next fight's going to be an interim title fight?
No, I think they're stripping him.
Okay.
From what I understand.
Either way, both of those matchups is a nasty fight. I like either one of those matchups. Palomino being different and all the footwork and the experience, like you said, because he's fought everywhere. And then, like you said, Gogo, it's going to be a guy who is coming in there to throw heat and all that. Well, before I get to the next question I've got for you, I want to give a shout out to our other sponsors, G3 Payroll and Tax. Make sure if you guys haven't gotten your taxes done yet, which I know all of you haven't done yet because I'm too busy slinging the mail when I'm not on here flapping my gums, make sure you check out G3 Payroll and Tax. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. Get some money off your taxes. But with that being said, you say you're getting the title shot. That's a cool thing with the fight with Gogo. But with that being said, I did my research. Like we said, you fought with LFA, you fought with the UFC, you fought with Bellator. You fought everywhere else. So tell me about what made you make the switch to bare knuckle. What were your thoughts about doing it? And, was it hard for you to make the switch from MMA to bare knuckle?
Fuck no. It was easy, boy. Honestly, I've done underground bare knuckle before before it was regulated. Back when like you said, I've done MMA, I fought in the UFC and all that. So I was in a bar in Colorado, in Fort Collins, which is a weird spot. Back then it wasn't so woke. Now there's no bikers there anymore. But there's a biker bar down the street from my buddy's house, and we went down there. And we I'm friendly. We're talking, and my buddy's like, oh, yeah, he fights MMA, which I was like, don't say that. You don't ever say that in a biker bar. Just let me be like, you know what I'm saying? But he's drunk. And, oh, my buddy's so tough. He fights for, and that guy's like,
He'll
oh, really?
fuck all of you up.
Yeah, like that. And so they were like, well, hey, and then, they approached me about it. I was like, I thought they were fucking around. So they like, hey, bring some cash. I brought some friends. They brought some cash. And it was actually really cool. Like, I was like, man, you better bring a gun, man, just in case. And me and this dude scrapped it out. It was actually relatively easy because this guy was like a tough street fighter guy. But when you're not like conditioned for violence, like you get stuck with a couple right hands. You're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? He was tough though. So it was pretty easy money. And then they approached me on another one. And I did another one kind of similar. Like the guy was tough, big. He cracked me a couple of times. It's just like a street fight. When guys are used to just street fighting, it's very short and chaotic. But once it settles down and you can start sticking them with jabs, hitting them in the body, they kind of just are like, okay. And their cardio starts to fade because they're not professional athletes. They kind of fold. And then the last one I almost did, they approached me, but then the guy was this Mexican dude from a Mexican gang, and all the guys there were going to be his gang. I was like, nah, I'm not doing this. I was like looking at my friends, like my friends are tough, and I'm like, nah, I don't have the muscle for this shit. And it got too shady too quick. So anyway, so to answer your question, when I heard about BKFC, I was like, I'm all over that. That's right down my alley. And I was a fan of it. I watched BKB and some of the other underground ones over in Europe for a while. So yeah, I just jumped on the horse, man. At first they reached out to me because they were having a show in Wichita, and they asked David Rickles and Joe Wilk and all the big names in Kansas. And it was a natural switch. And to be honest with you, I've been doing MMA so long that really I kind of outlasted all my training partners, all the guys I wrestled and grappled with, all the pro fighters kind of went through their careers and, they quit. And it was I was like the last surviving guy. The fire just wasn't dying. So I was like, fuck it, let's do the bare knuckle and see how it works out. It's worked out pretty good. So
yeah, I would say so.
Should have told those dudes you're a librarian, bro.
Yeah, I did. They didn't believe me.
I was going to say that was the next question. I was going to be like, so when you switched to bare knuckle, is that the change from how'd you become the gypsy from the librarian? Was it the bare knuckle made you a gypsy?
Way back when I started, I picked out Gypsy Jake Lindsey. That was like I was like, yeah, I'm going to be Gypsy Jake Lindsey. Because like I have a lot of Romanian ancestors. I have tons of, like when I went to London, my mom literally has this entire family tree of like, I was related to some lord who lived in in England and all these people. And so, not to kind of get personal, but like I have some extended family that were kind of like quasi connected to organized crime. So kind of like the name Gypsy, just the word gypsy kind of got thrown around a lot with some of my uncles and stuff like that. So that was like the name I picked. Well, they called me the librarian at the gym because they had Library Jake and Fireman Jake. And then one show, they didn't tell me, they introduced me as a librarian and it stuck. So I was like, well, I can't change my name now. So I was a librarian to my MMA years. And then when I switched to bare knuckle, my buddy's like, hey, man, it's time to bring back the gypsy. And I was like, fuck yeah. Different sport, different nickname. We can rebrand it. So that's how that kind of worked out.
I like it, man. I like it. Had to have the tougher exterior. I mean, at least it's better than me, dude. So I like I was saying before we went live, I've had like the two nicknames that have stuck with me the entire time I've trained with the people, or either one I've gotten fresh to death because I always had my cross on or something when we would go to like fights or whatever. Or the other one that always stuck was because if you look at my last name, most people that when they look at it, they think it's Collision. So it's just my buddy Miles Jury that was in the UFC and Bellator. It's just ever since, because my dad used to get so pissed about it. My dad would get mad as fuck. Like I'll never forget when we were in high school, like our coach called to tell me about give me tickets for a fight or whatever. And he thought it was me and knew it was my dad, knew he'd get pissed. And I just heard, it's not Collision, it's Collison. And then so ever since, it's just stuck. Like it's just been that way. It never pissed me off like it did him, but it's funny how that shit works. It's like once something sticks, that's it.
Yeah, at least as long as it's not embarrassing, not too embarrassing. Like I know some guys with some embarrassing ass nicknames. So your buddies with Miles Jury?
Yeah, I've known Miles since he was still fighting out here at Royal Oak Music Theater and stuff before he was ever on the old.
I tried my ass off to fight him so many times. Couldn't get it done.
No shit. Yeah, I mean he's over there in Bellator now, but yeah, dude, he's we've known each other a long time.
Yep.
I'm ready to see him get back in the cage. Matter of fact, I know Bellator was watching the show the other day. I'm ready to see him get back in there, but we'll have to see what happens.
He should go back up to 70. So he was when I was trying to fight him, he was another. We were both early level pros, and he was just fucking tearing through people. I was like, I want to fight that guy.
Back in the King of the Cage days, dude.
Yeah, and I even emailed them. Like I'm very proactive when it comes to getting fights. I'll message people on Facebook. Hey, do you want to fight? Like, people are like, well, why don't you talk to my manager? It's like, no, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Do you personally want to fight?
Middleman.
Yeah, but no, I wanted to fight.
Do you want to scrap?
Yeah. I was like, they can talk about the money. They can negotiate our money for us. But do you want to fight me? I'll say yes. But yeah, he was killing guys in King of the Cage at 70. I was like, I want to fight that motherfucker, and I tried to get it done, but it wouldn't. I think he should go back up to 70, man. I think he should.
I mean,
it
wouldn't be a bad move. I mean, he was fighting at 55 here. I mean, 45, I felt like he was just too big for 45, like, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, the cut fucked him up. Cut fucked him up.
Like I say, it's funny you say that, because, man, I'll never forget a fight when they had here at Royal Oak Music Theater. He fought a guy back, like you said, the King of the Cage XCC days. I remember Jeremy Stevens come down here for the fight, and the guy he was supposed to fight backed out. So some dude, like a local yokel that everybody knew around here, hops in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck him up." I'm like, "Okay." They go in the fight. He hit this dude with a right hand, and the guy pulled Miles into mount. Miles stood up out of mount, and then as the kid got up, he hit him with a head kick and broke his foot on the kid's face and just.
Oh man, dude, I got one better. I knocked the guy out so bad. I got a better one. I knocked the guy out so bad one time. I gave him like a 2-hour erection. I'm not kidding. No, I'm serious. Okay, let me explain. So it was my second amateur fight. I was fighting a guy named Robert Juice Barnes from Lubbock, Texas. This guy was juice. He was jacked. So we start the fight, and like the entire camp, we're like, avoid his straight left because he hits. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'll slip it, and he fucking cracks with it. Boom, drops me. We're scrambling, and he's throwing me off him. He's strong as shit. And then I catch him with a counter right hand, then I knee him, and he knocks him out on his feet, and he goes like this and falls. And he slowly falls to the cage the entire time. I'm just feeding him right hands. So I knocked him out bad, and I hit him probably 8 times after he was knocked out before the ref stopped it. So fast forward, we're in the back, and I'm over there, and this is like back in the day. So we were all in one locker room. Everything's in one room. This is like in a fucking Chuck E. Cheese or something. It's like really back in the day.
I remember
and my
those
team,
kind of days.
Yeah, like we had like a skee ball place or something, and my team's got kind of snickering and laughing, and like I can tell that they're laughing at him because he's over there talking to the doctor. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Like I went over there, don't be disrespectful, man. She's like, no, look at him, and he had basketball shorts on with no nut cup. I look over and his
God, that used to drive me fucking insane.
Yeah,
like you couldn't have at least got some fucking shorts.
First off, good for him because he was packing. Okay, maybe that's why they called him Juice. But like clear as day, like it's right there. And like I look over, the doctor sees me look, and everyone's clearly staring at him. And then Robert's so fucked up still because he's like concussed. He comes over to me and tries to give me a hug. I'm like scooting my chest back, like, he's like poking on me with it. He's trying to get me. Well, the doctor explained it as this. He's like, sometimes, he's like, when your body gets knocked out, especially when you take a lot of damage after the actual knockout, your body can do weird things. Guys can go to the bathroom on themselves. They can do all kinds of stuff. He's like, well, occasionally, because your nervous system will fire off and it'll lock. So basically, I knocked him into like being turned on. Essentially, his boom, and then like his girlfriend was in his girlfriend was in his corner, and like she's clearly like upset. Her boyfriend got beat up, and we're all like leaving the area. My coach, he goes over to her and says, "Hey, at least you could have a good time tonight. It could be worse. It could not work." And we walked out. But yeah, I don't know why the fuck I'm telling you.
Thank me later, lady. Thank me later.
Hey man,
that's
we go all over the place on this damn show. We told you we cover the world of pro wrestling. We've got a whole segment called Locker Room Etiquette, which isn't what you would think. Not trying to pry and pick and poke for shit. What are some of your pet peeves? We've gotten everything from wash your balls, keep your baby mama out the locker room, bring your own wrist tape, bring your own squirt bottle, just all kinds of just dumb shit that you would never think of. So, I mean, that kind of shit tends to happen from time to time on our show.
You know what pisses me off? You know what pisses me off in the locker rooms? And I've literally almost like grabbed people's phones and smashed them. This happens to me in public too. When you're in the back and you're all sharing a locker room, and that one guy thinks it's okay to put on his dumbass music really loud, like 2 hours before the fight starts, trying to get psyched up. It's like, hey, newsflash, there's like 10 people in here. Turn it off or put headphones on. It's like I get the same.
They got headphones.
Well, these guys, these are the attention whore type of guys. This is the same guy who came in. He got his girlfriend all dolled up in a tiny little dress, and he brought her back there too for whatever reason. It's the same thing when you're walking around and you hear someone. I want to do it so bad. I'm gonna do it next time. You'll see someone talking on speakerphone in public about their business, like anyone cares. Like they're trying to get attention. I want to just go over so bad and take the phone and smash it and walk off. I
see
shit
at the airport last weekend. Like, people like walking like this with their phones and on speakerphone, like yelling into their phones. Like,
yeah,
dude,
talking about a bunch of stupid shit.
It's already bad.
Talking about how drunk they got on the weekend or whatever. I just want to take the phone and look at them and just break it in half and set it down and walk off. Don't say a word. That's what I want to do.
Dude, that drives me nuts when people do that. Well, speaking of shit that went down this last weekend, it's kind of hard for us to do a show without talking about what went down this past weekend, which for us, you know, you can check out our interview with Devon Dudley from the fine folks at Astronomicon from this past Sunday. But in the fight world, not only were you doing your thing, it was UFC 285. It was the return of John Jones. So I know you've heard all the news at this point. Do you got any thoughts on UFC 285, the return of John, and Valentina losing her belt?
Spinning back kicks. We throwing spinning shit now. You gotta be careful. I think I didn't watch, honestly. I'll be honest with you. I tried to watch them. I tried to illegally pirate them in London, but it didn't work. But I don't know. I'm not really I don't really like heavyweight fights in the UFC. It's kind of dull for me. I'm not a big John Jones fan.
Okay.
I heard, so originally they were going to have that card in London. They were going to have that same card, the John Jones card in London. I was excited because I wanted to find him in the club and maybe sucker him and run off just to get a little swagger jack him. But Shevchenko, man, that's a rough one. That's a rough way to go out. You miss the spinning back kick and then you get fucking choked. But no, I want to see John Jones Stipe is what I want to see.
Yeah, they already said that's next. They said that's going to be, what is that, June or July, Corey?
July.
Yeah, International Fight Week, whatever that falls on.
Did you guys think Gane had a chance?
Going into the fight, you always kind of like as overanalyze things, right? That's what we all do, especially as like air quotations big here, media. We all kind of overanalyze it, right? Like we'll break down the fights and talk about, well, this guy's good at this, so if he's able to implement his game and this, that, and the other. That was my main point. I had said it the whole time. If John Jones leans on his wrestling and is successful with it, if the size isn't too much of a factor, then it's basically game over, and that's what it ended up being. But Surreal Gane's a big fucking dude, and he throws with power. So of course I thought he had a shot, but you know,
when John Jones weighed in at 248 and Gane weighed in at 247, that changed everything for me because I thought it was going to be a completely different fight, dude. I thought Gane was going to lean on him the whole fight. I didn't think John Jones was going to be that heavy, and as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be a different type of fight. And that's exactly.
What would be interesting is so when I heard about it, I thought the same thing. If Jones wrestles, he gets wrecked. But also, I would like to see how it would have went if it would have went 2, 3, 4 rounds because, you know, his whole fighting career has been cut in 205. And some people can say, well, cutting weight drains you out. It's like, well, not really, especially for a guy like John Jones. He didn't cut very much weight. It forces you to get in really good shape in aerobically and anaerobically. So in heavyweight, believe me, I've taken some fights at higher weight classes. No matter what you do, you don't push that anaerobic cardio the same because you don't have to, because you're not trying to make the weight. So it would have been nice to see maybe at third, fourth round, if because Johns would gas at 205 a bit. He'd slow it down. He'd kind of glide through some rounds. So a guy like Cyril and the feet is slick enough to maybe touch him up a little bit, kind of like Dominic Reyes. So I would have liked to see it go a little bit longer just to see him test his cardio a bit.
Well, my biggest thing going into that fight for me had to do with, obviously we all know that he can strike, and that was my thing. I wanted to know, okay, John Jones has been training, okay, he's acclimated to heavyweight, but how does he take a shot at heavyweight? Because that's the thing. You can move up to heavyweight and you can put weight on, but until you actually get hit by a heavyweight that's actually trying to hit you, I mean, I'd go as far to say I'd imagine he's not full on beating the shit out of each other sparring anymore. So I would imagine, if he'd have taken a good shot from Gane, that may have been one of the first real ones he's getting as far as heavyweights going. But then when you think about it like that, I mean, the way the fight went, I mean, even if you listen to what he said in the post-fight press conference, he was like, I was on the feet. I felt a little weird on the feet. And he did exactly what I thought he would do, because for that reason, with him not having taken a heavyweight shot, I thought he would try to use his wrestling to save himself from taking those shots. And once he took Gane down, Gane even got back up, but he just couldn't do nothing with it. But, man, it looked like his head was going to pop out when he got the guillotine at first until I saw the second angle, and I'm like, oh, shit. That's
was it tight? Was it really tight?
Dude, yeah.
The
second one. The first one he popped out.
It was just like awkward, yeah. He was up against the cage. It's just an awkward angle for him.
He had him really sunk in, but he had him like his shoulder was over the back of his head in a way where it was like,
oh,
really,
yeah.
like,
He's popping that like a watermelon. You ain't getting out of that.
Yeah,
and he would have fucked his neck up real bad to try to yank anyway either. Like, Gane would have been really fucked up had he tried to muscle his way out of it. But like you said,
what do you guys think of
there's any way to go?
What do you guys think of the new pound for pound rankings? Do you think he deserves to be at number one again after that fight? Or do you think
not yet, not over Volk?
Will be there?
Volkanovski by far.
Volkanovski is most skilled, I feel like, at the division, but John Jones being undefeated in title bouts throughout his whole run, and he's now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said something like 15 wins in championship bouts in the UFC, still undefeated, to move up to 265 to get the win. I mean, and to make it look easy against a top contender, it's hard to.
Had he beat Ngannou, had it been Ngannou and he did that, maybe, to be honest with you. But
I think the shadow of Ngannou is going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I don't think I honestly don't think he's ever been number one pound for pound. I think you got Khabib, and then I'm gonna play devil's advocate, motherfucker. I think he popped for steroids. I think he was cheating, and I don't play that because I fought tons of guys on steroids. I don't really care anymore. But when you have a hot test, you can't. You know what I mean? You just can't deny that. But then maybe I'm biased because I don't care that Henderson was on steroids. I love Dan Henderson, so maybe I should just stop being so biased. But I think Volkanovski for sure. I mean, you look at how well he competed against Islam. Yeah. I think he arguably won that fight. So, and Islam's the guy. He's the champion. He's not. He's not the third or fourth ranked in the division.
Very true.
Well,
I'm with you guys on that one.
Speaking of fights outside of BKFC and things, one of BKFC's big signings, Mike Perry, was supposed to be the alternate for that fight. What do you think? Do you think we've seen the end of the whole Jake Paul experiment?
I fucking hope not. I want to get on that card. Come on, let's go. I want to fight Salt Bay. I love me some Salt Bay, baby. I'm a Salt Bay guy. I was supposed to fight on his undercard. Sorry, my baby's getting a little upset here.
You're all good.
I was supposed to fight on his undercard, Jake Paul's undercard, when he was fighting that black British heavyweight or whoever was his name. What was the guy he was supposed to fight? Rockman, yeah.
Rockman.
Yeah, I had a contract to fight a local boxer in New York. I was like, yeah, let's go. Just the sheer sponsors you get off that make it worth it. And then dude couldn't make weight. So I hope not, man. I would have loved to see Mike Perry fight Jake Paul. I
still want to see that.
Yeah, I feel like that
Mike
was
Perry,
an entertaining fight, that's for sure.
He's one of those guys that you bless his heart. Like he just being though he's like partially throughout his career has been a complete and utter, douchebag. But then like he's just so genuine, and you can tell that he's such a genuine guy, and his flaws are all out there. That I didn't like him at first, but I like him now. You gotta love that guy, man. And more power to him. I wasn't hating, but I was like, man, why the fuck's this guy getting paid so much? But good for him, man. Like you gotta make it work. I would love to fight him. I tried to fight him before, but I don't have the following. They have to match him up with someone who's super popular. They wouldn't put him against me. I don't have enough followers on Instagram. So
talking about somebody super popular, they brought in a name this time, and it's Luke Rockhold. What's your thoughts on that matchup,
dude? Well, they brought in two guys who are considered douchebags in separate ways, right? Everyone hates on Luke because he's so self-centered. And you know what I mean? He's kind of a weirdo. But what weight? That's the question.
I'm very curious myself.
Perry's smaller than I am, and Rockhold's gigantic. I've met him. I fought one of his teammates years ago. He's huge. So, I mean, I think it's a good fight. You leave it to that just shows how that makes me like Mike Perry more because he's like, fuck it, let's scrap. I don't care if you're a 205er. He's always says that, and now he backs it up. So, a great thing for BKFC too, because what they're doing is they're kind of going outside they're kind of bringing back that open weight pride feel, which is fantastic. Weight classes, whatever. Two good guys. I think, honestly, Perry's got to, or Rockhold's got to catch him early because Perry's going to be a little pipple all over his ass. But if Rockhold's smart and circles and jabs, Rockhold's going to be on the juice. So we're going to get that good cardio again. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you get? You guys are the podcast hosts. You tell me.
Well, we always love to get the guest's opinion first on that type of stuff. But honestly, I'm super intrigued with the matchup. To your point, the weight discretion is going to be a thing. I would imagine whether Mike Perry's able to capitalize on his size discretion or not. He's always had that dog in him, and I feel like that's the type of fighters that Luke has struggled with in his career. So I feel like he's still got a real chance, and it's just when I first heard it, it was so out of left field. I genuinely just wasn't expecting it. It kind of took me a day or two to digest it. But now, as somebody who's been watching BKFC, a paying subscriber, as I always like to say on here for years now, I genuinely am excited for it. I don't know which matchup I'm more excited for. If it's the Chad Mendez, why can't I think of Eddie Alvarez? I couldn't. His name was escaping me, but I don't know which match I'm more excited for. Honestly, out of the two, I feel like probably the Perry one because it's just more of a dog fight.
Yeah.
But either way, man, it's an exciting night, and I like the direction that BKFC is going. I'm sure you do.
Absolutely, man.
Competes for him.
Yeah, it makes me really excited for the future of the company and to be the champion of that division because they got that contract with Triller, so now they got that Triller money. But again. Like I got into the sport. I was a big fan of Pride. I used to order Shudo VHSs from Japan, when I was 11. Like I've been watching, and they always in Japan they had that kind of theatrical. You didn't know what fight was going to be announced, so you were excited about the announcement. It could be anyone versus anyone. Like Chad Mendez is a 45er. He's fighting Eddie Alvarez. I think it's a good direction they should go with it. They should really do these kind of more open weight matches and let people fluctuate because it's more exciting. But yeah, it's going to be a good one, man. I'm excited. I actually texted my manager and said, "Hey, see if BKFC will give me free tickets for that one."
Yeah.
Let me get that.
Let me do the bell.
Let me get in there and talk some shit.
Yeah. Let me do the thing.
A little more entertaining, dude. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got a question for you though. So these guys that are coming over from MMA, and you've done it, you've been there. Do you think, and maybe not for you, but do you think for other fighters, mental wise, this is a different game? But a lot of guys actually consider this more technical because of the defense, the way you have to fight. Do you think that's going to affect guys like Luke Rockhold going into BKFC?
Yep, absolutely. There's a big, vast difference in just the way you have to strike. You have to have a level of mental, what's the word I'm looking for? Composure that you don't have to have in a boxing and MMA. And that might sound weird because at high levels, you always have to have that mental composure, but you can't block, you can't slip. The same, it's all the punches. Everyone punches about twice as fast with no gloves on. It doesn't sound like that'd make a difference, but it does. Grazing shots are a lot more dangerous. A tiny, you get nipped and it slices your head open like a melon. So I think some guys like Luke Rockhold, guys who have gas in MMA. Now I know what you're saying is like the wrestling and all that. That does, and the rounds are longer. But guys who tend to like fade with pressure like Rockhold, they're gonna have a problem with it. I think him specifically, and body shots. That's another big thing. Body shots are horrible with bare knuckles. They suck anyway. They suck with big gloves, but with bare knuckle, every little shot, you get hit with a knuckle on the floating rib, even if it doesn't break it. The level of pain is about twice as bad as it is with the MMA glove. Also, the breathing is different. It's something no one really talks about. When you're in that clinch eating body shots, you kind of have to flinch and flex. So you're going through periods of time where you're holding your breath, and you don't have to really do that in MMA. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a whole different experience. You have to be more technical. Your reflexes need to be faster. For guys like me and Connor who have that darting style of feinting, moving, not really eating shots and blocking them, not staying in the pocket, it's more favorable. But for guys like Perry or guys who sit there in the pocket and exchange and bang more, you wouldn't think that an MMA glove would help you block, but it does. It's a guard, so it's a whole different animal, man. I've done every combat sport on the planet. And cardio-wise, mental-wise, bare knuckles by far, it's the most niche. You have to. It's not the same as other ones. You can kickbox and go to boxing, right? It's not that big of a difference. You just can't kick. But bare knuckles a whole different beast.
You're not kidding, dude.
You gotta be a man. You gotta be a man. You can't be a whiny little bitch.
You gotta like blood, and you gotta like the bleed too.
Well, that's why I kind of laughed when I saw the whole thing with Rockhold, because it's like he had that fight with Costa and said, "Fuck it, let me go get this big bag." I was blowing my blood in his face. I'll be all right, BKFC.
Yeah. Hey man, more power to it.
Rockhold, they're bringing cool matchups.
Yeah, no, I was telling him it's like the Pride days, but Rockhold gained a lot of people didn't like him, but dude, he earned some respect that last fight with Posse. He's like, fuck it, I'm going out.
You have to.
I'm not quitting. You gotta love him. So I hope that fight is a dog fight. I just want to see them bang it out. I don't want no technical bullshit. Come on, Mike.
Let's see a lot of blood.
I'm looking forward to the next few cards, man. We've got past guests of the show. Christine Faria is getting ready to scrap again. And then we got past guests of the show. Britton Hart's getting ready to scrap again. BKFC is getting down and at it, dude. Them are fun cards.
You know who I think is the best bare knuckle fighter on the planet currently? Dat Nugent. Dat Win or Dat Nugent. Yeah, I think that is by far. That is the fucking man. I think he beat Palomino. I watched that fight. I think he beat Palomino. He's a 35er. You know what I mean? That guy is like the epitome of. He reminds me of me in a lot of ways, not in terms of that, but just like he's a normal dude, owns a restaurant, like shadow boxes in the back of his restaurant. You know what I mean? He's not in some big gym somewhere with all these coaches. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's a bad motherfucker. I'm excited for that, man.
Yeah, his and Johnny Bedford's fights, man. Those were some bangers, man.
Yeah.
You talk about the local scene, man. I've seen Johnny Bedford throw down here for WXC at Eastern Michigan many a times. Yeah, man. He's fought here multiple times and fought past guests to the show. You had Vince Murdoch and all them guys, man. You had everybody down here. So I definitely remember seeing Bedford throw down and bring his guys down here from Texas to fight. But dude, we've kept you for quite a while. As we talked about, we also cover the pro wrestling end of things, and we had quite the end of the weekend with Revolution. You know, J-Bone finally made it back from Florida, and then we saw the hour-long banger with Danielson and MJF. But for you, did you ever watch pro wrestling at all? And you told us a little bit about a story about you hopping into the pro wrestling ring.
Dude, NWO for life, baby.
Life.
All day. Man, I loved it. I saw WCW live here at Bramlage when I was a kid. I loved it. I was all over it, man. I had the NWO shirt, everything, man. Even now, still, like, I'll watch this when I'm bored or whatever. I'll put on, like, the NWO documentary, and I'll take my fiance and say, hey, come look at this, and she doesn't give a shit. I have 2 daughters, and I just had a baby boy. And I'm excited to have a boy because I'm like, I'm going to run him through. I'm going to have him watch. Thank you. I'm going to have him watch all the old WCW tapes and the Monday Night Wars and all that stuff. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
I don't know if you can see what's behind me since you say you're a WCW guy.
I can't. My phone's fucked up. What is that?
The big gold belt, the one that Flair had.
Yeah. Oh, really? I love Ric Flair, man. I love it. I'll go to I'll get drunk at bars. You can't. I'll get drunk and I'm at bars and just start being Ric Flair, and no one knows what the fuck's going on. You know what I'm saying? I start. He's a guy that you can just embody. If you need to get some confidence, watch his videos and act like Ric Flair. You'll feel confident.
Yes,
dude, the shit he would rattle off the top of his dome, like for a while, like, so I've got this thing now, just in case any of you guys ever get my voicemail, now you'll know why. So yeah, on my voicemail, I usually will switch it between different promos. For the longest time, I had the Kiss Steal and Wheel and Dealing promo. So when it would answer, it said, "You have reached the Kiss Steal." Just go down the whole deal. Dude, that guy is more popular now than he was when he wrestled, and even then he was hugely popular. I mean, he's about to be here in Michigan just to show up at the damn dispensaries. You know, shout out to our sponsor, Michigan's Finest. But yeah, dude, he's literally going to be here Thursday at like 4 different dispensaries for that weed line that he's doing with Mike Tyson. It's fucking insane.
I like listening to him. Yeah, you know, a guy like that is when you just listen to him talk, it could be about anything. You just absorb wisdom nonstop. Mm-hmm. It's just, I like listening to his interviews when he's out of character, just talking about his life and stuff, and the level of wisdom he pushes out. And the skit with not skit, but the when him and Jay Lethal did the whole impersonation. That is my favorite. Yes. I will watch that randomly. I fucking love it, dude. Jay Lethal did it. It was so good. I'll fucking watch that after I get off the phone.
Hilarious, man. That shit was hilarious, dude. Like I said, I am a big Flair fan.
Yeah.
Longest, shortest ride, longest line.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Dude.
You know who I used to have a crush on, speaking of pro wrestlers, is I used to think China was hot.
Did you just see the A&E documentary they did on that?
That's a rough one. Look at him down. He's like, ooh, that's a rough one. I don't know what it was, man. I was about 14. There's something about him. I'll tell you. I was like, God damn, I like to get tossed around by some China.
I got to recommend you a couple things just based on what you said. So they just had the A&E. They're doing the WWE biography series. They just did one on China that came out Sunday. And then Ric Flair, you talk about you love to see the interviews out of character and stuff. I can't recommend the new Flair documentary that's on Peacock enough. Like, that's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen. So that would definitely put those in the Rolodex. Make sure you check those out. Well, fucking A.
Watch that, go to the bar right after.
I mean, when Flair's saying he's still drinking how many drinks he said a day at like 70-some, and he's still out here squatting 400 pounds and shit. Like, that guy is going to live until he's like 100. Like, I don't know. He's fueled by alcohol or whatever he's fueled by. But then the craziest
he's one of
part
those guys. Go ahead. He's one of those guys that,
the craziest part about it is his daughter's like, his daughter might arguably be the best fucking wrestler in the whole company, male or female at this point.
Is she wrestling? I didn't know she was wrestling.
She's already 14-time champ.
And a great one.
What?
Yes.
I'm out of the league, bro. I got to get back into it.
See, that's why it's a good thing you came and fucked with us, man.
Yeah.
We'll put
I gotta
you
be
on
careful,
game real
though.
quick.
I got to be careful because that's like I get obsessive compulsive over stuff. So like if I enjoy something, I'm gonna read about it and watch stuff about it and know every little thing about it. I had to quit playing video games. I would know everything about everything. You know, I couldn't do it. I don't have enough hours in the day.
I was going to say this
Go
will
ahead.
connect your two worlds, dude, from the MMA world. I mean, she was the first all-female main event a few years ago. I was there in New York. It was her, Ronda Rousey, and Becky Lynch.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, dude, they're putting
impressive.
her right in the thick of shit.
Yeah.
So, fucking A, dude. We've given you quite the list for you to check out. I could put you on for days, especially with more MMA guys like Matt Riddle and all that stuff all crossing over and doing their thing in WWE, man. It's there's plenty to watch, and I totally feel you on the thing with having a son because I just had my second nephew come into the world, and I've already got them looking at wrestling and shit like that. I told my sister, I was like, look, between me and his dad, I mean, I've boxed since I was 13 and done jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. I was like, I just hope you know that these kids are going to like end up either being into wrestling or fighting or both. And I'm sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. I know when you have girls, I had two girls back to back, and like every time I was like, oh, I want a boy. And I was very happy. I love my daughter so much, but when you have that boy, it's like now all of a sudden you have this whole list of things and you can't do with your daughters. Like, they like stuff, but they don't give a shit about wrestling. They're like, "Oh, that's cool. Can we watch My Little Pony?" I'm like, "Yeah, we do that." But when you have a boy, you're like, "Oh, you're just writing stuff down. Like, we're gonna do this. You know, I have like all my old Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I'm like, he's not getting a new video game system. He has to work his way through all these old ones first. We have a whole thing we're doing. So, I thought, you're like when I said I like China. I thought you were like, "Hey, I got something for you to watch." RedTube.com/China.
No. See, we try to.
Don't act like you haven't seen it. Don't lie. You lying.
Let me go clear my search history here. Let me go clear my search history.
No. I guarantee you, my girl's in the other room listening. I'm gonna come in there. She's like, "Who the fuck is China?"
Who's China? Fuck her.
There was a reason they put her in that little centerfold issue in WWE magazine in like what 1999 or something. Like they knew what they were doing, man.
They knew what they was doing.
Yeah. Her and X-Pac were dating for X-Pac was dating for a while, right?
Well, her and Triple H were together first.
Right, and then she broke up with that. I don't know what happened
afterward.
Now, he's one of my favorites too, man. Great wrestler.
He's a cool fucking dude too, man. Like I've met him a couple times. He's a cool fucking dude, man. Like I said, I appreciate the time. We definitely got to do this again. Maybe we'll have to do it before the next scrap, dude. Like now that we've mentioned that you're getting your title shot. I mean, if there's anything else you want to throw out there, dude, and anything you want to let people know where to find you and all those good things, feel free to do so, bro.
Hey, look, I'm gonna be in a trailer park somewhere playing dice, doing gypsy shit. So, just watch my next fight. Me and Gogo are gonna go at it. I'm gonna hit him with that Go-Go gadget right hand. Fucking put him to sleep, and then you guys gotta have me back on, man. We gotta have like a late night. I'm gonna drink some liquor, and we're gonna go through some X-rated stories. Going to that deep
shit. We had knockouts and 3 counts after dark with the American Kaiju. Now we've got knockouts and 3 counts after dark with Gypsy Jake.
Dude, I'm telling you, boy. It's gonna be a good one.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it.
You already know.
Well, man,
before we get out of here, shout out to our sponsors and all that good stuff. G3 Payroll, State of Pro Wrestling, and Michigan's Finest. We appreciate you. What were you going to say, brother man?
Thanks for having me on, man. It's been great.
No, great.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. I knew he was going to fit in just great with us. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're in the Detroit area, you got high rollers coming through this Friday. Shout out to Big Lon and all those guys. I think I'm going to slide my way down there, hearing it's sponsored by Dr. Dabber and all those good things. Have to see what's popping there. Shout out to Bulletproof Troop. And until next time and in the in-between time, to steal his line, it's lights out. Peace.